What's going on, folks? Welcome to another one of my world building and creature design videos here on the channel. As of right now, while I'm editing together this video, we are just a few subscribers shy of 20,000, so let me just say thanks to all of you who have joined the community. For those of you who are new to my content, the creature concepts you will be seeing me talk about here are for a bestiary that I'm planning on making into an ebook, and I'm hoping to have the first volume completed by the end of this month, fingers crossed. So stay tuned to my channel here and be on the lookout when I make that official release announcement. But now let's get into the creatures of today's video. As I've done with some of the previous entries in this series, I'm showing off some creatures that inhabit a particular region in my world. As I pull up the world map here, if you look over in the bottom left corner, we're checking out some of the beasts that inhabit the region called Primordia, also dubbed as the Land of the Ancients. The overall theme of this biome is that it's a realm mostly untouched by any of the races of this world. It's a very dangerous area where there's a high concentration of powerful elemental energy. So all of the native species to this region are imbued with these elements. They're like the elements themselves manifested as living beings. This creature here that you see me drawing is called the Torkatoa. It is a large tortoise that is imbued with the element of fire. When it comes to fantasy worlds or games, fire has pretty much always been one of my favorite elements, but more specifically, I like things themed more around magma and volcanoes rather than just like basic flames. So creatures that have that volcanic theme to their designs have always been really cool to me. And this dude here, as you can see, has these craters atop its shell and down the sides of its neck where pools of bubbling lava leak out. One of the inspirations for this concept was a little fella by the name of Torkatoa, who you may have heard of if you're a lifelong gamer like me and have been playing Pokemon since the 90s. I remember back in the day when Ruby and Sapphire came out. 3rd gen was my favorite, by the way, since we're on that topic. But I remember my first time coming up to the Fire Gym, and I was super hyped to see what sort of cool Pokemon the gym leader would be using. And her final Pokemon was Torkatoa, and I was like, dude, this is so sick. It's a tortoise with a volcanic shell. It must be so powerful and huge. And then you find out it's this tiny little 1 foot tall creature with average stats, and I was totally let down by that. So my volcanic tortoise you see here is the redemption story. This ain't no weak little meager tortoise. This dude's large and in charge. Instead of just making it a straight on tortoise, I also added some sauropod traits to its design as well, just because dinosaurs are cool, bro, and I'll incorporate them into my concepts any chance I get. So these beasts are like walking volcanoes. They're peaceful though, and they feast on the hardy, elementally imbued vegetation and fruits that grow in this region. When they feel threatened, they can unleash a massive eruption of lava from these craters. And just like how land masses are formed by cooling lava, the shells of these Torkatoas continually grow and harden as the lava drips out and solidifies. So you can get a good sense of their age based upon how large their volcanic shell is. I think this creature does a pretty good job of representing the elementally focused biome of Primordia, and hopefully gives you a decent idea of what a lot of the other creatures of this region are like. And here we have the completed bestiary entry for the Torkatoa. Its name, by the way, is a combination of tortoise and Krakatoa. And whenever I heard Krakatoa, I always think of that old SpongeBob episode where they all get superhero outfits, and Squidward is like this volcanic powered dude. Krakatoa! Classic. But let me read off its lore entry here, and then we'll check out some more intel on this creature. The Torkatoa is an ancient fire elemental tortoise that roams the volcanic fields and molten rivers within the region of Primordia. Along its neck and rugged shell are large craters, each one bubbling with red-hot lava. When it feels threatened, the Torkatoa will let forth a massive eruption from these openings, causing a devastating inferno. Their igneous-coated shell will grow larger and larger throughout their lifespan as the lava piles up and cools over time. It is truly a wondrous creature of raw elemental might. And now let's turn the page to see some more flavor text. As you can see, this is a properly sized volcanic tortoise, and not some tiny little disappointment like old Torkle. Overall, this was a pretty fun creature to design, and while we're on that topic of art and design, let's take a quick break to look at the sponsor of today's video. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across all sorts of categories, including illustration, design, freelance, and so much more. They offer literally thousands of classes here, folks, and they range from a beginner level to more advanced depending on where you're currently at in life. You'll learn about all sorts of different tools, techniques, and professional journeys from the experts teaching here on the platform. The lessons are also stackable, so members can learn at their own pace, which is great because everybody's situation in life is different. With me personally, I've really just started to put some real effort and consistency into growing my channel here this past year, and Skillshare offers tons of different classes where I can pick up some good information for growing as a freelancer. My whole life, I've pretty much always had to go seek out and find the information on my own because I didn't have any mentors or know anybody that was an expert in the things that I was interested in. I'm self-taught in a lot of things, which means I've had a lot of trial and error. And if I would have had something like Skillshare, then I probably could be a lot further along in my overall skill and knowledge. The first 500 people to use my link in the description box down below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so get started today. And now let's check out this other creature that inhabits the lands of Primordia. So when you're making a fantasy world, it's only fitting that you have some sort of Hydra to inhabit it. Typically, most Hydra designs are your serpent-like creatures that are usually somewhat aquatic in nature, but I wanted to go with a totally different approach here and combine it with a Venus flytrap instead. I felt like it would be a solid concept for the region since it's a blend of both animal and plant, making it an earthen elemental species. Now, elementals are kind of their own classification. They aren't exactly flora or fauna, so before any of y'all little nitpickers try applying some sort of real-world science to this concept, we ain't abiding by the laws of nature in our world. This is a fantasy world after all. I haven't designed too many plant-like species here in the bestiary thus far, so I had to make sure to get this one in here to further bolster the diversity of the roster. One of the most iconic traits of Hydras is their ability to regrow their heads if they get cut off, and I think since this species here has that plant-based aspect to it, it makes even more sense that it can regenerate lost limbs or heads if they get severed. These beasts, which are called Snapvine Hydras, inhabit the dense jungles and wetlands of the region where they disguise themselves amongst the large exotic flora. Their mouths excrete a saliva that smells sweet and aromatic in order to lure in unsuspecting prey. This saliva, however, is highly corrosive, which helps them to absorb and digest their victims. Now, you may be wondering how you would kill these things since they can just regenerate their body parts at will, and that's where it would be ideal to have some sort of weapons or magical abilities to inflict fire or ice since they are weak to extreme temperatures. Though they do have a greater resistance to fire than ice, just because they stay in the areas where there are higher concentrations of water to absorb and coat their bodies. That idea actually came about because Venus flytraps are actually pretty resilient to forest fires when compared to other plant species. And just as a side note, when I was a kid, I always wanted the Venus flytrap. I just thought they were really cool, and I remember one year my aunt bought me this supposed pack of flytrap seeds to grow, but I'm pretty sure it was just fake or something because I opened up the little pack and I poured it into the soil and like nothing that looked like actual seeds came out. So needless to say, they never grew into anything. She would always buy me random silly gifts like that for my birthday or Christmas. But anyways, here we have the completed bestiary entry for the Snapvine Hydra. And as for its lore entry here, a terrifying blend of both plant and beast, this elemental Hydra is not to be trifled with. They dwell in the damp jungles and bogs, disguising themselves among the towering flora of the region. In order to attract prey, their jaws drip with a corrosive saliva that has a pleasantly sweet aroma. As the unsuspecting victim is lured into the trap by this delicious scent, the Snapvine Hydra clamps its jaws shut at incredible speeds. But what is most horrifying about this Hydra is its ability to regenerate its heads or limbs if they are severed. The only way to defeat these elementals is by exposing them to extreme temperatures. And now we can go ahead and flip this page over to check out some more info on the Snapvine Hydra. I had to make sure to get a sketch in there with one of its heads decapitated, of course. And that's going to be it for today's world building and creature design video. But before we close, I just want to make a little announcement here that I have officially added memberships to the channel now. Since we've got a decent amount of people here in the community, I felt like it was time to add that in here. And for those of you who have been following along since the beginning, you might have noticed that there are a number of subscribers here on my channel who always talk about turning my monsters here into soup for consumption, because they are absolute savages who drool at the thought of devouring these species. So, if you become a member of the channel, you will be donned the title of Monster Soup Cultist. I designed this little Monster Soup badge here that you will have displayed next to your name, and also I made some emojis based off a few of the creatures I have designed for this world building project thus far. We've got the Yeti, the Shroomid, and the creature that started off this entire series, of course, the Behemoth. I'll do some member exclusive content from time to time, like live streams and such, but it's mainly just a way for you to help support the work I'm doing here if you're interested in doing so. Do me a solid if you like the video, be sure to smack down upon that like button like a megaton hammer, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like my monster related content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.